Welcome to The Record Show, your virtual spin around the vinyl industry. Brought to you by Radio Wasteland Records. Yes, Midland has a record store. Here's your host, Jim Gleason.
Greetings from the Wasteland and welcome to another edition of The Record Show. We've got a very busy one headed your way today. We'll chat with Steve Brown once again from RushFest Scotland, talking about Volume 2 of the Songs for Neil tribute album to Neil Peart. That's coming out on vinyl next year. It's out digitally right now, though, but we'll chat with Steve again about this great collection of Rush tribute bands paying tribute to the professor himself. We'll also run down what there is of this week's new releases, headed to an independent record store near you. And we'll take a look at an upcoming video game soundtrack that may not be as collectible as others that have come before it. But first, earlier this week, Record Store Day announced the list of titles for the upcoming Record Store Day Black Friday event. That is coming up, of course, the day after Thanksgiving this November. Record Store Day, for the uninitiated, is typically a biannual event, one happening in April and one happening in November, where there are usually hundreds of new and special and exclusive releases that head to independent record stores everywhere, pledged independent record stores everywhere. Well, this year, of course, we saw that date split up, the April one split up into two dates, into June and July. Better than 2020, mind you, with the three. And then the Black Friday list. So now that the list is out, the semi-annual discussions of whether or not it's a decent list or a decent crop of titles is underway. Now, I haven't had a chance to dig through the list very in-depth yet. I'll do that here in the next day or two as we get set for our orders here at the record store. But in a cursory glance, I gotta say it doesn't seem as heavy on titles as previous Record Store Day lists. Maybe that's just me. I haven't actually given it a count yet, but I think there are other folks that are sensing the same thing. I saw one of the other vinyl channels call this a more commercialized list, and well, from my standpoint, I have to say, well, yeah, that's meant to be selling records, so no matter who the artists are, it is going to be somewhat commercialized. But I get what he means. He meant that there's a lot more of the popular artists gearing toward younger folks. And this is a discussion, again, that comes up every single Record Store Day. They're trying, I think, at the RSD end of things to give a well-rounded list. And I think that is what is represented here as well. You may not see as much classic rock. You may be seeing more indie rock. You may be seeing some more pop stars and pop artists on this. But again, I think this is meant to be a well-rounded list. Some of the highlights that I'm seeing on here and some early predictions for what some of the bigger titles may be include an All Them Witches live in the internet. Now, this has been delayed, if I recall, at least once, if not more times, from the drops earlier in the year. Looks like that's only going to have 2,800 copies of it nationwide, and it's a 3 LP set. A very cool one, though, that has not been available on vinyl in quite some time is the Jim Carroll Band with Catholic Boy. It's a deluxe version, double LP, 1,500 copies. This is the album with People Who Died, the biggest hit, really, of the Jim Carroll Band. Some other standouts include Lana Del Rey, Chemtrails Over the Country Club. This album was released earlier this year, so I'll have to see exactly what makes this one different. It would not be a Record Store Day without a pair of Dio picture discs. This Black Friday, again, does not disappoint, except this time we've got picture discs of Holy Diver and Last in Line, two great Dio albums. Those are coming from Rhino and Warner, and looks like there'll be 7,500 each on there. There's a Billie Eilish title on here, No Time to Die. I don't think there's going to be any shortage of that. 15,000 of them, and it is a 7-inch release from Billie Eilish. We're also getting an Iron Maiden picture disc, the self-titled that. Looks like there'll be 5,000 of them coming from Sanctuary Records. King's X, I know a lot of folks have been looking for something like that. This is Please Come Home. Looks like there's only going to be 2,000 copies of that, though, so that may be a tough get. Barry McGuire with Eve of Destruction. 1,500 copies of that, but this is the quintessential Barry McGuire album. A good get if you can get this one, but that will probably be a tough one. Motorhead, The Lost Tapes, Volume 1, live in Madrid from 1995. 3,500 copies of that on double LP. We're going to get some country with Buck Owens and his Buckaroos. And here's an oddity. They just this week, as we'll talk about coming up in the new releases, are letting out Ozzy's No More Tears. Well, there is going to be a No More Tears 12-inch picture disc coming out on Black Friday as well. 9,200 of them. Looks like that is the number being pressed on here. Poison, Flesh and Blood is on here. Pussifer, we will have a release from them, a 7-inch, a very limited edition. Here's a pairing, Lou Reed and Chris Christopherson, the Bottom Line Archive series in their own words. So Bottom Line Record Company, I'll have to do some more research on this one. It's a triple LP set with only 1,500 copies nationwide, so that could be an interesting one. We are getting a live Stray Cats album from Music on Vinyl, triple LP, 1,700 copies. That's going to be a tough get, but it will be a good one. I'll tell you that. Music on Vinyl always does a great job. Another big one that has been delayed a couple of times as well is Tesla's Mechanical Resonance. This is coming from LMLR, a French import. There's only going to be 4,000 of these, and I think that's going to be a very, very in-demand release coming up this Record Store Day as well. I know we here at the store have had a lot of folks asking about that, especially with the past drops and why it got delayed. Well, here it is coming on Black Friday, and there's not going to be too many of them, so do what you can. And finally, the other big standout on this list is a 12-inch single from Weird Al Yankovic and a band called Osaka Popstar doing a cover of the Ramones' Beat on the Brat. This is a maxi single from Demented Punk. This song was originally released on the Dr. Demento compilation Covered in Punk from a couple of years back. Some great stuff on there, so this Weird Al doing the Ramones is really going to be a fun one. Now that's a look at what are called the exclusives coming out to an independent record store day near you on Black Friday. But there are some other categories from RSD which include limited run or regional focus titles, which means that you'd have to be dependent upon where you are, whether or not you'll see these in your stores. Titles from the Avett Brothers, the Bee Gees are listed in this regional focus or limited runs. David Crosby and Graham Nash on this list as well. And what looks to be a very cool title from Thelonious Monk. And finally, there's something called RSD first releases, which means that these will come out on Black Friday, but we're very likely to see some sort of a reissue of this down the line. It may not be the exact same colored vinyl or variant of the cover, but that title will eventually be re-released again. On this list, we see titles from Aerosmith, including a cassette, as well as the LP. Hey, this is Record Store Day, not Cassette Store Day, so let's watch those. Canned Heat is on this list, something from Alice Cooper, Miles Davis, Screamin' Jay Hawkins, Jason Isbell in the 400 unit, a Judas Priest Best Of, some LA Guns, a K.D. Lang reissue, Modern English, Mr. Big, something from the Munsters, Charlie Parker, Oscar Peterson releases as well as the Shangri-Las, a Dusty Springfield Singles Collection, double LP, some stuff from Sun Ra, and of course a U2 release as well. So head to recordstoreday.com, check out the list for yourself. Make sure you're talking to your independent record stores. Let them know very, very quickly what you would like to see come in. Now, again, the rules for Record Store Day, if you're unfamiliar, independent record stores like ours cannot hold or reserve or pre-sell any of the titles. That is just built right into the rules of Record Store Day. We lose the right to sell them if we break that pledge to do that. But what you can do is reach out to your indie stores, let them know what you're looking for while they're in the order phase. That's very, very helpful. And this is speaking from experience on our part, letting them know what you would like to see and asking them if they're going to be getting some copies of that. And then it's up to you at that point to decide whether or not you want to stand in line to get some of these very, very limited editions. But Record Store Day, Black Friday, again, coming up very soon, the day after Thanksgiving. This year is November 26th, so check it out at a local independent record store near you. Well, joining us once again now on the Record Show is Steve Brown from RushFest Scotland, way over on the other side of the Atlantic. Steve, how are things going for you, sir?
Things are great, Jim. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing well here as well. Now, we have had you on once before, and we're happy to have you back again because you are talking about a big phase 2 of this project that we talked about the last time you were on. Tell us a little bit about the next phase of this Songs for Neil tribute album to Neil Peart from Rush.
Yeah, sure. Well, this time last year, well, around about June last year, I had the idea of putting together an album of Rush tribute bands playing Rush songs, because I organise, well, I'm in a tribute band myself, and I organise a fan convention, RushFest Scotland. And because we couldn't have an event last year, we did something online, but then shortly after that, I just thought, hold on, I know all these Rush tribute bands from around the world. And I put the request out on social media, and I got a healthy response. So I put together what became Tributes Songs for Neil Volume 1. And in fact,
I'll hold
here,
one
we're
up
not
here
going to do this
too.
in stereo, are we? And it's in stereo, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot I had it in my feet here. So yeah, so we brought out Tributes Songs for Neil Volume 1 in lovely red vinyl, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Anyway, this was a great success back then, and we've actually sold out at vinyl, so you didn't see this. But we're still selling CDs of that and downloads.
Yep.
But yeah, so 1 year later, and as I said, the response is great from the tribute band. So I have just finished, and today, day of recording, 12th of September, which, as we all know, is Neil Peart's birthday. So today is the release date of, we've called this one The Stars Look Down, Songs for Neil Volume 2. It's coming out in vinyl, CD, and download. The thing is, and all profits for charity. So we've only brought out a single LP. So both Volume 1 and Volume 2 have 8 tracks on the LP. Extra tracks are on the CD and downloaded. This time, Volume 2 has 17 songs in total.
Yep.
So it's actually a double CD. It's turned out to be a double CD. But even if you just buy the vinyl, you'll still get the 17-song download.
The digital is available now. The CD comes out when, and the vinyl is a little bit further back.
Yeah, well, it's going to be, we're actually, again, it's bureaucracy and manufacturing. There's a lot of backlog with manufacturing. So we're saying right now, give us till the end of October to get the CDs out to you. And for the vinyl, learnt my lesson from Volume 1. I had sleepless nights over Volume 1. We're saying February for the vinyl to be shipped. Okay,
there we go.
So this one's coming out in blue marble vinyl, and again, limited edition. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Absolutely fantastic looking. Now the music on there, again, we talked about just the wide breadth of selections that you could choose from. I got to say, there's a couple of personal faves on there for me, including a couple from Permanent Waves by a couple of bands. Just some great stuff to see. Spirit of Radio, Free Will, correct, as well?
Yeah.
And
yes.
and Natural
Well,
Science.
There's 3. You said a couple, and I thought, yeah, a couple, but I actually forgot there are 3.
Yep.
How did I manage that? I've tried to keep it balanced, but I have ended up with 3 songs from that one album on Volume 2. It's just the way things have come in and what people have offered us, etc.
Yep.
You know. So yeah. So we have, as you said, it's Vapor Trail from America. Free Will is by a Spanish band called 2YY2, and that's a live version. And then we have Natural Science by Why Not, another American band.
Some fantastic stuff. Now, the rest of the music runs the gamut of their career as well. There's some very early stuff, as well as everything up to Clockwork Angels.
Yeah, that was the plan. I wanted to try and cover everything. So we have another American tribute called Limelight, who are based in Connecticut, and they gave us a stunning rendition of Anthem. So that's the album opener, being the opener from Fly By Night, the first album that Neil was on. So that was perfect opening track for us. But we also have Working Man from the very first album, which Neil wasn't actually on. But we have an English band called Rushed playing a great rendition of Working Man. And then we take it all through to Caravan from the Clockwork Angels. So we try to grab something from every era. Not every album, I don't think, is covered, but we run the whole 40-year career there. Yep.
You had mentioned before in our first interview, as well as this time around, that the profits from this project are going to some great cancer research foundations. Could you highlight those again and let folks know the real reason behind all of this?
Yeah. Well, the real reason is the love for Rush. Yeah,
That's true.
Last year and this year, and this includes both albums, we're splitting all the profits between 2 charities. One here in Scotland called Cancer Support Scotland, and the other one is in America, and it's called the Glioblastoma Foundation. In particular, they have a Neil Peart Research Award. So we've already donated, now let me get the currency right, $10,000 split between both of those charities from the sales of Volume 1 so far.
But to the vinyl, as of this recording date, Can folks still order vinyl copies of that, or is that coming close to being the
For
cap?
sure. No, I think I don't know the figures in front of me, but off the top of my head, there's maybe about 250. More than half have sold. Put it that way,
Okay.
because we're looking at capping it at 500 for the vinyl. Again, they're not massive figures, but it's plenty, and it makes a nice profit, and people have something special. But saying that, if a big distributor comes along and wants to take it and run with it, I'll happily put a zero at the end of that 500 and let someone else deal with it. You know what I mean? More money for
That just
charity, and I don't think the people that bought the first 500 will be that bothered. In fact,
no.
if we do a second run of another 4,500 copies, we'll put something slightly different on the cover. Just to
Yep.
make sure that the people that got the original have the original. What it's
It
like with
becomes a
vinyl. There'll be some
collector's
little nick.
edition.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But back to this new album, the Songs for Neil Volume 2. Where can folks get some more information on that website or social media you can point us to?
Yep, sure, no problem. Well, the main place to go is just the main website, which is all the W's, RushFest Scotland, all one word, rushfestscotland.co.uk. So that's .co.uk. And then there's links there to our Facebook pages, etc. But all the ordering information, like I've learned from Volume 1, I did a crowdfunder, I did a Just Giving, I did all this. I was all over the shop. This time, everything's on the website. Just go to our website and everything's there. You can order
cool.
from there, and it'll tell you about our events, our charities.
Well, thank you very much for your work on that. Thank you for Volume 1. We are looking forward to Volume 2 on vinyl, but in the meantime, enjoying that digital side of tributes songs for Neil Volume 2. Great
Right.
work, Steve Brown from RushFest Scotland. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for being with us today to talk about
Thanks, Jim. Before I go, I'd just like to toast Neil Peart. This is his birthday today. So I'm
we
drinking Scotland's other national drink. This is a horrible Gatorade type thing called Iron Brew, made from girders. So this is Scotland's other national drink, and I'm just toasting Neil Peart on his birthday.
Congratulations.
And thanks to you, Jim. Cheers, man.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Well, this week was shaping up to be a good one as far as new releases go, but as we've been seeing a lot lately, some of these major releases are being delayed, especially to smaller independent record stores like ours. So we'll start with some of the ones that we think that there may be some copies of, but you'll have to check with your local store as far as the numbers they're getting. I know we here at Radio Wasteland are really kind of slim on the pickings this week. We're doing what we can, but our suppliers aren't getting them from the labels for whatever reason, so this problem continues. The big one this week was going to be the Ozzy Osbourne reissue of No More Tears, double LP. This was going to be reissued for the first time in many years on vinyl, but we got the word that this was going to be strictly rationed coming from Sony to the distributors. Some of the stores, us included, may get a few copies here and there, but we'll have to be patient until the record labels can get more of these to the distributors. But otherwise, look for that Ozzy No More Tears. One that I think is probably going to be well stocked this week is a reissue of Primus's first LP, Suck on This. This is coming out in blue vinyl. There's also a new Billy Idol coming out this week. This is more of an EP. It is a 12-inch, but limited edition blue vinyl indie exclusive, as well as a black vinyl version of Billy Idol, The Roadside. Again, this is just a 4-song EP, so we'll have to see if there is more in the offing from Mr. Idol down the line. Nancy Sinatra, a reissue of Boots. This has got an indie exclusive version coming from Light in the Attic Records. Looks like this one may be delayed a little bit here and there as well. I'm not certain what makes the indie exclusive stand out. I've read that there are some colored vinyl variations of this, but I think they're reserved strictly for the Nancy Sinatra website or directly from Light in the Attic. Although the LP, and I think the indie exclusive coming to smaller stores like ours, does have a 20-page booklet included. So if you're a Nancy Sinatra fan, this is the album of hers to have. There's also a Bob Dylan release supposed to be coming out, but this is another one that could be delayed, called Springtime in New York, the Bootleg Series, Volume 16, covering 1980 through 1985. So some later Dylan for you Dylan fans out there. But this one, again, looks like it's been delayed. You may see a few copies here or there, so just cross your fingers and hope for the best. There is also a Rolling Stones title that looks like it's been delayed, but this is a triple live LP called A Bigger Bang, live on Copacabana Beach. Each of the records coming in a different color, green, yellow, and blue. So this is going to be a cool live Stones set, recorded in February of 2006 in Rio de Janeiro. So some cool stuff from the Stones, but again, that could be a title that is delayed this week as well. There's also a Samantha Fish, brand new stuff from her coming out this week. 2 versions of this, a regular black vinyl version and an indie exclusive version, which comes with an alternate cover. And by alternate, I think that means they just changed the background color on the cover. But the indie exclusive also has a limited edition print insert that comes along with this. But brand new stuff from Samantha Fish. She has teamed up with producer Martin Kirzenbaum, who has worked with Lady Gaga and Sting. And it features the work of drummer Josh Freese, who's played with Guns N' Roses and Nine Inch Nails. So this looks like it's going to be a fun, cool rock and roll, hopefully, release from Samantha Fish. And finally this week, we are coming up quickly on the fall season, which means it's time to start thinking about pumpkins. So here is the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, limited edition of the Vince Guaraldi soundtrack, themed for Halloween. And this is shaped like a pumpkin, playable on your record player. Don't worry about it. Your turntable can handle it. It's just shaped vinyl, so kind of a cool thing coming from Craft Recordings for you Charlie Brown and or Vince Guaraldi fans. So that's a look at the highlights of this week's new releases. Please be patient with your independent record stores. They're trying the best they can to get these titles in, but when the record labels short the distributors, we end up getting shorted as well. So we're all working on this. Everybody's aware of the problem. So again, please be patient, and hopefully the labels will start working their problems out and things will get better for us all down the line. And finally today, a couple of weeks back, we looked at video game soundtracks and how some of them have become highly collectible. Well, this week, while looking forward to some new releases coming out in the next few weeks or a month or so, I ran across this one called Coffee Talk Original Soundtrack. It's a video game soundtrack, and being very unfamiliar with a lot of new video games as I am, I texted James the Younger to ask him what the deal was and whether or not he thought this one might be a good one to carry in the store or if it would have any collectability. He was unfamiliar with the game, so I had to ask our dear friend Google to look this up for me. And yes, it is a game called Coffee Talk, and there is a soundtrack coming for this. Now, what is Coffee Talk? Well, it is a coffee shop simulator. I kid you not. You can play this video game and pretend that you own a coffee shop in Seattle, and you have heart-to-heart talks with your customers and help them work through their problems. Really the polar opposite of a first-person shooter, but it's a thing, and there is a soundtrack to it as well. Now, the soundtrack is being billed as relaxing and jazzy lo-fi soundtrack to the coffee brewing and heart-to-heart talking simulator Coffee Talk. It's coming out on limited edition vinyl, and it's got a fairly high price point, listing at around $46, $47. Now, again, I'm not going to make predictions as to whether or not, just because it's a video game soundtrack, that it's going to be worth this much, but there's already a copy on eBay for sale over $100, and the album hasn't even released yet. So, tell you what, if you like pretending that you own a coffee shop and like pretending to talk to people about their problems, this could be the game and the soundtrack for you. Thanks for watching The Record Show. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe to the Radio Wasteland Records YouTube channel. And be sure to hit that notifications bell so you'll be alerted every time we upload new content.